At some point, I'm not going to be late to my own live stream. Grab a beverage, grab a drink. We're talking about Brittany Dawn, but not just Brittany Dawn. Brittany Dawn's fostering. We're going to be listening to her podcast, but before we start, let me just pull this up because I think it's kind of important, but maybe it's not. When fostering children, it is important to be careful due to the potential emotional and psychological impact on the child. Fostering a child often involves providing a safe, stable, and supportive environment for a child who may have experienced trauma, loss, and separation from their birth family. It is essential to be sensitive to the child's needs and experiences and to provide them with appropriate support and guidance to promote healing and growth. Foster parents must be prepared to handle challenging behaviors and situations that may arise and to work collaboratively with the child's social workers, therapists, and other professionals to provide the best possible care. Additionally, foster parents may also need to navigate legal and bureaucratic systems when advocating for the child's needs. Overall, fostering a child requires patience, empathy, and a deep commitment to supporting the child's well being. And I might additionally add providing a private environment so that they can work through their stuff and feel safe and emotionally stable. And that is not what we get at the Brittany Dawn residence. I'm going to run my Please Don't Slap Me YouTube intro. I will be RB and I will say hello to the live chat replay crew. As always, much non-culty love to you. If you've never caught a live stream or my very loose grasp of the English language, I'd love for you to join me sometime. It's a lot of fun. Let me go ahead. Disclaimer. God dang it, where are you? Hello, I know. I'm. Everyone's like, didn't you just stream? I stream. Just, oh my God, take a deep breath. I was streaming on Instagram earlier. I had to take a quick exit because my parents needed me to let the neighbor's dogs out. And I do not play around with timetables when floofs are involved. And then I streamed yesterday and the day before and the day before that. Why do I stream so often? Because I like it. I like it a lot. How is everyone doing? Alaskan BL Tundra? Hello? Lady Silvery Yarn, Jenna, Christina, Corinthians, howdy, Jen, Hannah, Tracy. Babe, wake up, new DC stream. What up? I hope y'all are having a comfy, like getting ready for bed or going about your day whenever you're catching this. And I am not, if you're trying to keep up with the streams, I'm not that channel. It's mostly, I like streaming. Everyone likes different things. So I stream about a lot of different things. And if you can't catch them all, it's like Pokemon. You want to, but sometimes you just can't. Wolverine, hello. JJ, hello. Alexis, Grumpy Cakes, Bria, Ladies on Lions, hello. My space buns are here. They're kind of falling out because it's kind of the end of the day, but we're here. Oh, Brittany, yes. I did skip the abortion one. I am considering doing it, but I didn't have the emotional bandwidth in the last 7 days to talk about abortion and Brittany Dawn. Thank you, Bree. We like you. Thank you. Alaskan. Is it Alaskan BI? Is it bi tundra or BL tundra? I mean, I need to get like those little pickles that Emily D. Baker has, the screaming one, or the screaming goat. Oh, where's our goat? I did. Oh my God, why is the goat so big? Hello. This is our stream goat. We love stream goat. It's the best part of the stream. Also, Surprise Pikachu has also joined the stream. The kittens are running around and climbing everything. Oh my God, I love it, Christina. Oh, hello. I'm posting some new earrings right now. These are glittery bats. Heck yes, awesome. Thank you, coconuts. You do a ponytail, and then they add like 3 rubber bands to each side. Then you pull out one, like bump. Then you do another rubber band. Well, if you don't have this much hair, you don't have to do as many rubber bands. Then you do a rubber band around that to hold the little bump strongly. Then you have a lot of hair hanging down. You put a rubber band in the middle, twist, pop it over the pump, and then put another one, and you pull it down, and it stays like that. Tanya, howdy. That's a giant screaming goat, indeed. Where's my goat? Oh.
Lick the stream.
Please lick the stream. Thanks so much. Okay. Before we begin, I do not want to scare anyone out of becoming foster parents. I think exploiting your children that you are fostering is the issue. And I was going to do a craft stream, but I don't have a cord. Bunny, hello. I'm cuddling with my dog tonight. She decided to not nap today, so she's extra tired. Oh, I hope the floof has a good set of dreams. Rebecca, hello. All right, here we go. Thank you for licking the stream. The stream goat appreciates your sacrifice. Okay. Oh, I need to take a screenshot. I have to wait for the screenshot to post. And I'll drag it on the screen. The reality of foster parenting, peeking behind the curtain. I don't have my audio waves on today because I wanted to stream an eCam, and streaming with Stream Labs is a pain in the butt sometimes. So that's what we're listening to. I wonder. Nope, I cannot control. I don't know. Why am I indecisive? Center? That's good. We'll do this. Rutro, howdy. And if you have ridiculously fine hair like me, you do one spinny and swirly, pin it, and then pull at all the strands. Still looks fuller than it is. Also dry shampoo. Yes. Exactly. But also the layering and the twisting makes it does make it look bigger than it. Well, I mean, I've got a lot of hair probably. Anyone got any color suggestions for what I should paint my nails this week? What colors do you like, Grumpy Cakes? All right, we're going to press play. Content warning. Brittany Dawn. Content warning. Probably religious manipulation. I guess we did double spaces on everything. Religious manipulation. Twisty ideas about fostering. If you don't know who Brittany Dawn is, you're going to have to Google it because it's too exhausting to explain the twistiness. Also, did y'all know that Brittany Dawn allegedly settled with the state of Texas? I saw it on Fundy Fridays. Coral sounds good. Do it, Grumpy Cakes. I paint them every week. Aaron, hello. I was trying to help Julie Joe with a video earlier, but the Young Living Group's being slow about posting it if they're going to post it. But I did get into an app, and I have access to hundreds of videos now, and I'm stoked. Y'all, if you do not follow Aaron, what are you doing with your life? I just put grayish on my nails and bright red on the toes. Love that, Rutro. Oh, Brittany Dawn's also going to tell us about the misconception of foster care. Oh, why are we here?
You're listening to Chiseled and Called with Brittany Dawn, a podcast about finding freedom in...
This feels like it's the mid-'80s, and look, I love the 80s. I love the music. I love the clothing. I love the wild, huge hair. I love everything about it. This feels like dated 80s intro, and not in a nostalgic, like, I feel so good right now. It is, yeah, and I'll give the password to everybody in the creator group. I just need to take a look around because it's hard to navigate. Aaron's voice is so calming. Why did this not come up? Yes, it is like the best thing to fall asleep to. Or to calm down after a hard week. The Friday streams with her and Julie Joe are like delicious. Okay, let me put Aaron's channel. Nightbot should link it in a second.
perfection and peace in your broken pieces through Jesus. Our prayer is that today's message will bless you, embolden you, and fix your gaze on the King, that it will stir up the calling God has placed within you. Without further ado, here's your host, Brittany Dawn.
This is what I want to play right now. You know? That's what I want her intro to be. Except I don't want her to ruin the kazoo for me, but I don't think anyone could. Also, hello, Kevin Tinter.
Welcome to the Chiseled and Called podcast. My name is Brittany Dawn, and I am so excited about today's episode and today's special guest. A lot of you guys know this.
Apologies, also mouth sounds. Y'all know how I am. We're going to have to take lots of breaks. The one most capable to put you to sleep is Patrick Boyle. Hello, cat. I don't know if Brittany Dawn's going to be perfect timing, but I am so glad you're here. Lisa, hello, odds. I love the kazoo. I do too. I'm downloading more. I am downloading so many more sound bites. I can't even tell you. I have a whole kazoo. I'm going to have 2 kazoo folders on my soundboard, and I cannot tell you how excited that makes me. If mouth noises make you enraged like me, take your headphones out and put this on your iPhone or your phone speakers. The speakers, for some reason, on the iPhone mute the mouth noises that Brittany Dawn has. This sounds like a hotel commercial, not the words, just the vibes. Yep. Thank you, Victoria.
But we are foster parents, and we have been since late last year. We have seen the highs and the lows of the system. We've cried tears. We've cried happy.
How can you have seen all of the highs and all of the lows of the foster system in 1 year? Is that mean of me to ask?
tears. We've cried a lot of sad tears. There have been some beautiful
Thank you,
moments,
Sarah.
some hard moments, and everything in between. Yet what I can say is this: foster care has undoubtedly been worth every moment of sacrifice, that it's been a sanctifying journey.
I don't think it's supposed to be worth it to the parents. I think it's supposed to be fully focused on kids and making sure that you're taking care of the kids. And it's not supposed to be fulfilling for the foster parents at all. Maybe that's just me. I thought it's always about taking care of the kids and doing what the kids need because they are coming out of traumatic situations. Nope. I've just been running my mouth. We're a minute and 4 seconds into the podcast and we're 15 minutes into my stream. Is this normal? Yes, it is. Nope. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Finally, someone with a real reason to choose iPhone. Oh my God. Thanks for the heads up on the noises. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. I can't explain it if you don't have... My parents have no noise sensitivities. My siblings do not. Just me. It makes me an asshole to live with. It does. And I will fully own that.
And my guest today has truly been a sounding board for me and for us in
That's
our season
amazing.
of foster parenting.
And I'm not trying to say like... I'm trying to say you don't do it to fulfill yourself. You do it to, like, I say this loosely, to give children a home who need a space to be safe. You don't do it like, oh, I'm going to do this because I'm going to feel great after it. You do it for the kids.
As she shares the most incredible perspectives of the foster care system and what it's like being a foster parent. I could not ask for a better guest than Jamie Finn. Before we get started, I want to ask, if you haven't already, please take a few seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review if you have been enjoying these podcast episodes.
Can I tell you another?
Can I tell you a pet peeve of mine? For me, with podcasts, how am I going to know if I like the episode and to give it a 5-star review if I haven't even listened to it yet? You know what I mean? Why would you ask me to rate something that I had not heard yet?
I hear you, except silence is also rough for me. It's so loud. The lights are loud. The lights are awful. I normally have noise canceling headphones on, and I have my little pink earplugs. And if I'm at an event, the loops do not do well for me. They're small, but they don't work super well for me. I've also got tiny ears. I'm self-conscious even showing them on stream.
But without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Hello, Jamie. Well,
It sounds like she has like a lot of liquid in her mouth, and she keeps moving her tongue when she's talking. Oh my God. I would say get a different microphone and just maybe step back. Step back, Brittany. One word twisty. Yes. Yep, MF, exactly. Ov said, I never ask for reviews because personally I want my reviews to be genuine because people like it. Genuinely because people like it and want to leave a review. Much more rewarding for me. For sure. Yeah, that's why in most of my streams I leave my hair down. And I cannot put my hair behind my ear because there are not enough of them to hold any hair. So I normally have to tie it with a rubber band behind my ear, which is fine. It just is what it is. Oh my gosh, dude, I chew ice and my coworker heard me through the cube. I tried so hard to apologize, but she chews so she chews too. Oh, make us something delicious. I hate when people ask for reviews right away. Like, how do I even know if I like you? Look, I'm even gonna say, I know, Streamgoat's out of control. Streamgoat just asks. You know what I'm saying? But there are some streams that I do that I don't even like. I go back and listen, and I just think to myself, what were you thinking, DC? What? And again, I'm running my mouth again. I'm here. We're 20 minutes in. My ears are crooked too, and sometimes glasses are crooked on my face. Yes, I know what this is like. Mine are this one's a little higher, so I have to get mostly the glasses with the thing in the middle. I know we're gonna take breaks because it's a lot.
Welcome to this episode of Chiseled and Called.
Hi, Brittany. I am so happy to be on here with you.
Why did you not record this separately and fix the audio of the guest? Does it matter? If you have millions of followers, hire a sound engineer. Please. Please.
It's truly an honor. I know we were chit-chatting before, but I feel like you have just been such a sounding board for us in our season of foster care. And from a biblical perspective, that's so important, right? Because genuinely, I don't know that I could do this without the Lord.
That's right.
It's challenging. It's hard. And so thank you.
So what about all the I'm not trying to be an asshole to the people in the chat who are Christian. What about all the incredible foster parents who are not believers and they take care of their foster kids and do an amazing job? Sorry, I was in the other room, but came back to say, DC, you described the mouth sounds exactly. I've stopped listening to certain podcasters because of it. I know this is inappropriate, but whenever I hear the title of the podcast, I just hear Chiseled and Called. Oh my God. There's so many things you could do with that. Is it annoying that we take breaks and talk to that I take breaks? I say we. I feel like the live chat and me is like we're doing the stream together. I have tiny ears and a missing cartilage on top of both. They look like they were squished really hard. I know I'm missing comments.
For everything that you do. And I would love to start off by just sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. Well,
Next episode, I'm going to download it and I'm going to try to fix it in my audio, because if I can fix the mouth noises, I could reduce the S's. I could reduce. There's a lot of things I could reduce and fix as an amateur that I'm wondering if it would make her bearable to listen to.
first of all, I am wife to Alan
Johnny.
and mom to 6 kiddos. So my oldest 2 are mine biologically. My middle 3 are mine through adoption. And then my youngest is a foster placement who's been with us for about a month now. So I'm mom to a whole crew of kids. And on top of that, I am the author of a book called Foster the Family, which is really my attempt to do what you just shared, which is apply gospel truths and biblical wisdom and direction to the journey of foster parenting. And
why don't we have there's someone that's the only reason I know this is because I worked for Steve Hassan for almost a year, and I just got to know a lot of I didn't get to know them personally, but there's just a lot of information that goes into a podcast episode. And there was someone that he interviewed. There's an adoption organization out of New York, and he interviewed the founder of that organization, and she was talking about how important it is to focus on the child and make sure that you're giving the child what they need, not what you think they need. A lot of times we're listening to Brittany, we're listening to these people, and they're saying they need this religious stuff, and they need therapy. And they may need additional things if they came from one culture and they're coming to another culture in their foster family. It should be about the kid. It shouldn't be about filling a hole in a family. It shouldn't be about making the parents feel good or like somehow making up for some kind of deficit that they have. It should always be about the kid. And is this family the best fit for the kid? Karen said, I don't like that she's using her position as a foster parent to promote her crap. I was in 5 different foster homes in less than 7 months. I know there are good ones, but I know there are good ones out there. I just wasn't lucky. I'm sorry, Karen. Even better, let them hold on to their culture. Exactly.
It was written through really my struggling and stumbling and trying to figure stuff out and just being driven to God's word for direction and encouragement.
Yeah.
And then I run an organization called Foster the Family, same name, that serves foster families and children through immediate supplies and support groups and community and special events. So I have a bunch of things going on, and they all...
And some kids don't even get to stay in a foster family. They either age out or they're in that limbo age where foster families don't want to take them and they're not adults yet, so they go to group homes. And then you have people in MLMs trying to exploit the kids in group homes too. I do not want to offend anyone. Just hear me out. As a European Christian, I'm horrified by some of the U.S. Christians and their screwed form of preaching, parenting, and worshiping. For sure. I get that. Imagine a child needing to recover and heal from trauma and being given religious trauma instead. I would love to be a foster parent one day if I'm able, but it would be so different from how she's doing it. Yeah, and there's really good classes out there that are led by specialists and psychologists who this is their area of study, and they can give you really good tools.
Evolve around this space of foster care.
You wear so many hats. Like, wow, hats off to you. No pun intended. I said hats twice, but like seriously, that's incredible. And I love that your organization is it's to support families, right? Because one thing that my husband and I learned really quick is you don't know what you're getting when you get that call, right? Like you don't know if
you don't know what you're getting when you get that call. You're getting a human for the love of God. Hello, Throwboat 78. She is probably planning to use fostering as a way to share her own religion. So messed up they don't have a say.
You might know the age, but it might be inaccurate. You might know the gender, but that might be inaccurate. Like you just don't know.
Doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't matter the age.
Yeah. And with our first placement, I mean, we had all of like 2 hours to prepare. It was so quick. And we had accumulated some baby clothes, but we didn't want to like get a ton because again, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so we were just like rushing to the store, trying to get everything ready. And it was just beautiful chaos is the best way I could put it.
That's one of the tough things because we move every 2 years or sooner. And I don't know how that works. Especially if you're welcoming someone in. And I know you can do short-term placements as kind of an emergency situation. But like there's lots of good families out there who can't foster. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm just saying people like Kat, who is an incredible mom, and she and her spouse are incredible people. And And then there's really good people too who have chronic things that that doesn't make you unable to be a foster parent, but it makes it harder because you're trying to keep yourself healthy too. And yes, you're right, Kat. She just seems to focus so much on herself. Kat, have you ever covered the medical medium before? Because there's an article that just came out about his assistant who passed away and how people believe his juice stuff. And I thought, as a dietitian, that'd be cool for you to cover. Yes, in my experience, the teens were most likely to end up in the group homes. The one I got sent to was sketchy as hell. I'm sorry, Karen. The next duty station, he'll be there for like 6 months. Oh my God, Kat. Ma'am, you are not doing this for the parents or their children. You are putting the content to profit out of them. Prove that most of the money except your living costs. Kat, I'll send you a DM.
We're so thrilled that we were going to get to, be this safe place for this child in this season, but you don't know. So I love that you guys support families because I don't think there's enough of that.
Yeah, well, and that's what it was born out of, is my experience, exactly like you just said. A kiddo shows up and you're like, oh, you are 2 sizes bigger than I thought you were going to be, and a different gender. And so I am like, all right, all the kids in the car and let's run out and go to the store. And so it was, how can we show up for families like that immediately after a child is placed? So
wow.
that's
the idea of that organization is really cool, because providing clothes and diapers and food and toys, that seems great. The other stuff doesn't seem so great.
Great.
Really the practical part of our work. And then it's just walking with families, because it is not just the practical pieces. It is the emotional, the spiritual, the mental, and that community and support is just so important.
Oh, it's wild. An article just came out 7 days ago from Vanity Fair, and it's devastating. If you look up medical medium Vanity Fair, I think I can imagine from a dietitian's perspective, it would be wild to read.
Yeah, community is everything. We've learned that too. Speaking of community, so like when you and your husband first decided, like what is it that made you guys want to become foster parents? Like, was it a calling that you knew you always had on your life, or was it something that the Lord just started stirring in your heart sporadically? Because that's kind of how it was for us a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, we were in church one day. We had always known that we wanted to do this, but the Lord started stirring in our heart through a prophetic word that was given at church. And the prophetic word was, there's people in here that are waiting to have kids of their own, but I see you stepping out into the foster care system before.
Wow.
How is that a prophetic word? If you don't know what a prophetic word is, it is someone speaking to someone and saying, I heard this from God. And it's either specifically for you, or surprisingly, they say it to a whole room of people, and whoever it sticks to is the person that felt like, oh, this was for me, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. The best way I can describe it is people treat prophetic words nowadays like the little fortunes you get in fortune cookies. They're just generic enough that they apply to everyone. Doing charity work for bragging rights is so gross. I mean, I believe her. I just don't believe that because I grew up in church, there's stuff that is said like that all the time. And I would just say, like, I don't think it's a meaningful prophetic word. That's just my opinion. Because how can it be so generic? I'm sorry, I'm so itchy today. My allergies are out of control. Okay, press play.
And I was just like,
Whoa.
I mean,
You're like
undone.
called out.
Mascara going down my face. Literally, it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, that was, there's hundreds of people, but you're like, that was to me. And I'm just like one of those girls that's like, Lord, send me a bright pink bus. Not literally, but I need like confirmation that was for me. And I'm not kidding. At the end of that sermon, there was this girl who is now one of my best friends. I had no idea who she was at that time. And I watch her like stand up 3 rows in front of me, and she turns around and makes eye contact with me and like beelines to me. And she's like, I know this is weird. I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am, but I feel like the Lord specifically highlighted you to come tell you that he sees you as a foster mom. And I was just like,
oh my
like
goodness.
ugly
God
crying.
Literally was like screaming this to you.
Yes. Ugly tears, like did not care, losing my lashes off my face. Like it was just a whole thing. And I was just like, this is God.
Can I say, let's be skeptical for a second, and I'm not being an asshole to the people who are Christians in the live chat. I am saying, if everyone believes that if everyone in this church setting believes that the person sharing the prophetic word has the ability to do that, and then they're thinking, okay, use me to do what you need to do, God, and then they're playing into the same thing that was spoken out over the group, and they pick someone who's very visible like Brittany Dawn. Honestly, I think a good message should apply to almost everyone, but the kind of suggestion shouldn't. So, William, today, Fundy Friday shared that I think she's settled with the state of Texas, but they are still ironing some things out. So once all that is, I'm sure that Fundy Fridays will share it and post it. I haven't logged into the court system and looked at it or anything. I saw a screenshot on Fundy Friday's page, but it looks like, and settling is not winning. Settling is not winning. Settling is settling. It is not winning. So if she wanted to clear her name, she's not going to be able to do it. Because settling is not winning. Holy shit. There's an Amber Alert for a 7-month-old baby from Indianapolis. Oh my God. Do you have any more information, Sherry? I don't have a ton of people from Indianapolis watch my streams, but I'm happy to post it. I don't know, Alexis. Rafa, hello. Well, Brittany Dawn is telling us how she came to foster. And we're taking lots of breaks because the mouth sounds and the church stuff. Dave, hello. In Sunday school, I suggested that God... I'm going to move this over here since I'm slurching. Oh my God, Dave. So, there we go. I'm going to do this right here. That way y'all can... Like that, right? Are we going to line up? No, we want to line up with the photo. Okay. No, we want to line up with that part. Okay. Sorry, we're distracted now. That's the text, right? Background. Okay. And we are going to do... No. Sorry, we're just in a holding pattern right now. And then we are going to change the text to white. No, I just want it to be white. I'm sorry. This happens to me all the time. White. No. You unwieldy machine. Background. Oh, there we go. Got it. Got it. There we go. I was on top comments and just switched to all, and now I see so much more. I don't like how YouTube does that. I don't either. I wish you could have it in your settings to choose live chat every time. I would be in the hallway with you, and I need to change this. Top down. Fly from top. Allie, welcome to the live stream where lots of technical difficulties happen, but lots of good conversations are going on in the live chat. I am glad you're here. Wait, I totally missed. In Sunday school, I suggested that God would make things a lot more streamlined if he just popped in and told shit direct. Another day outside in the hallway. Yes. I annoyed the crap out of my teachers in school. I did. Yeah, hold on. I sent a screenshot to your Instagram profile. Okay. I'm looking right now. And I'm going to airdrop it and I'm going to put it on the screen. Sherry. Oh my God. I'm going to send this to the... I'm going to read this really quickly. There's a missing kid. Where is my... Okay. This is Jackson Sugars, 7 months, was last seen Tuesday in Indianapolis, Indiana. He may be in a brown, blue onesie and may be traveling in a tan 2003 Ford Taurus with an "In God We Trust" plate. INTUN 805. Call 911 with info. Source: the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Oh my God. I'll read it again midstream.
So that was kind of where we felt pulled into, but like, what is your story? What made you guys want to be foster parents?
Wow, far less dramatic than that. That is, you had no chance there. You were either obeying or disobeying.
Yep.
Which for us, it wasn't that clear. And so I think it's probably good for people to hear both stories, that it's like, yeah, sometimes you are going to feel it so deeply in your soul and other people might speak it to you. And other times it might just be this yearning to do something, this awareness of the need and this discontentment to still just live like a sheltered, happy, normal life when you do become aware of the need. So I think it was more that for me. I always believed I was going to somehow live missionally, for lack of a better word. But then we were about 10 years into marriage. We had 2 kids. We owned a home and had jobs. And
You have not missed a lot. We're only 7 minutes into this podcast. Brittany Dawn is telling us how she became to be a foster parent. God told her to be one. Take that, I don't know, with a grain of salt. Harper, hello. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm a small account, but if there's something that comes up, I want to share it because I know that last year several times bigger social media people shared a missing children's report and the kid was found because people were aware of it. So I hope that that's the case with this. Not with me, but I just feel like if we can do it, why not use social media for good? Shelby, howdy. Yes, she is having someone interview. The person she's interviewing is Jamie Finn, the founder and executive director of Foster the Family, the author of Foster the Family, and a highly sought after speaker for retreats, conferences, and events for foster and adoptive parents. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, okay, and for me. Okay, and. Brittany Dawn knowingly took money from those who bought her classes, under-delivered, and refused to refund the money. IIRC, yet she is deemed fit to foster. Yep. Hello, just caught up on 2 times speed and now I get to hang with Sleepy DC. Give me 5 minutes and you'll sound normal to my ears. Awesome. Calcium. That's amazing. I'm glad y'all were everyone was able to catch up. All right, let's go.
Have that very kind of normal American life. And I read a book by David Platt called Radical, which is one of those sort of disruptive, you can't just read it and stay the same. And so I went to my husband and said, I really think that this is what we're supposed to do. And he was not feeling it.
Wow.
He was not on board. I tried to convince, I tried to compel. And then finally I was like, babe, can we go to God's word and just look at all of the places where God talks about these kids, about the fatherless, about the orphan, and even more broadly, just the vulnerable. And as we went to God's word, he basically felt so compelled, we need to do something. And I feel really afraid, but because you feel like this is the thing, I'm willing to step out in faith and do this.
Wow.
And so our deal was 1 kid, 1 time. And that was almost 10 years ago and 30 kids ago.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's become different for him. Obviously, it's not this fearful, I don't want to be doing this anymore. But
yeah.
That was how it started for him. For him, it started with obedience. There wasn't desire. It was just obedience.
Wow. It's just so beautiful.
Harper.
I get emotional like listening to these stories because it's just like so beautiful.
Okay, I'm just quick, taking a quick noise break. Look, Harper, I'm making a top-down sweater. I came up, well, not that it is actually came up with the collar myself, but I basically did a rib, a slip stitch rib with a really tiny yarn, folded it over, connected it, and now I'm doing this. It's gonna look better tomorrow, okay? But it's just a test pattern. But it's turning out good so far. Oh my God, I'm so itchy.
Hearing how the Lord speaks so differently to so many different people, right? Like you hit the nail on the head. It's not going to be the same as the next person. The Lord knew that I was not going to just listen to the thing in my heart. He was like, I've got to send this girl
calling you out from the stage.
I've got to send this girl her bright pink bus or she's not going to step out. Cause I just, when you live in that reverence for the Lord, sometimes it can paralyze you, that analysis.
Take account if you are actually a good parent or a good human. Do you have the capacity to help a kid? And I think more people do have the capacity, but don't do it begrudgingly, because guess who picks up on that? Children do. Children pick up on that stuff. Yes, it's crochet. So this is a rib slip stitch crochet. So I did it this thick, then I folded it over, connected it, and then I haven't cut my thread yet, which is my laziest, best life. And then you start doing these corner things, but it's just half double crochet. And it's really small thread. Sorry, I know. What are we doing here, DC? Craft stream. Just kidding.
And I think that's where I was at in that season of just like, well, what if this is just me really wanting, to have like children in our home, but maybe God has a different plan. And I just started like letting my mind get the best of me. So it's just so beautiful to hear how he spoke to you guys and how your husband was just yielded so beautifully to the Lord. Like that was my husband too. He had his apprehensions. He's a very calculated, structured guy. He's like, we need to know.
The same.
Yes, like when they're coming, what day they're coming, what time. And I'm just like, that's not how it works. And we learned that very fast with the first placement. Right. But it was just so cool to see my husband, like the Lord got the best of him. And now he's just like 100% all in, full throttle. Like he is all about it. The moments that I've wanted, throw the towel in. Cause I think statistically speaking, most parents do the first 6 months to a year, right?
That is very true. Yeah. Yeah. We see, the number is not clear, but it is definitely over 50%.
Oh gosh.
Some say up to 80% within the first year.
Yeah, that's what. And so every time I've wanted to do that, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. My husband's like, oh, yep, you can.
Yeah. And if I don't know if you've missed that much, Rebecca, if you want to hang out in real time, we're taking lots of breaks. It's a difficult topic. It is even more difficult that Brittany Dawn is talking about it like it is some... I don't know. She talks about it kind of flippantly. And she talks about it like it's about her and her husband when it should be about the kid. I totally begrudge my parents and I'm still crying about it in weekly therapy. Yep, kids feel that. Someone had to say it. Brittany, babe, back away from your mic. And I'm not the best streamer in the world. Okay? We all know that. We all take my quirks as they come. I will tell you, I listen when I have the time. I listen back. And if I cannot stand how the stream went, it's like, okay, I want to change this. I want to try to stop using as many filler words. I'm listening to... Now, do I have the best voice in the world? No, I do not. There's things, though, that I can do to improve and make it more... at least enjoyable for y'all to listen to. Yes, content matters, but knock on wood, technical difficulties in mind. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm just saying like you can fix so much stuff if you actually listen to it. And the wild thing is podcasts are edited before they go live. She could be listening to this and say, is this enjoyable to listen to? I mean, maybe she's so self-focused she thinks it is enjoyable to listen to, but the mouth noises are just awful. Oh my God. I promise you, an audio engineer would be able to fix this. Or stand back from your microphone. This one right here is not one that you can like have super far in front of you. You want to be about a fist or a little bit more away from it. And you can even put it into a cloud lifter and make it more powerful. She would almost be better if she recorded on her iPhone inside of a box with towels or in her closet to get the audio. I mean, it's warm and full, but the mouth noises are just insurmountable. Yeah, and she could enjoy listening to herself. But if anyone from Brittany Dawn's marketing team ever finds this video, and I'm sure they will never, because Jessica Lee Ward's team hasn't found my videos either. Just listen. Put some headphones in and listen to this and tell me if it is actually a good podcast. and then tweak it and make it better. He got, content warning, police brutality. Her husband got in trouble for being, there's footage of it, and I would not recommend going and looking it up. If you are sensitive to that type of stuff, don't look it up. Yes, I'm kind of glad I'm late for the stream. Yes, and if y'all need to hop out, as always, I know I forgot to say it in the beginning, your emotional health is more important than watch hours or liking the stream or anything like that. Always, always, always hop out and advocate for yourself. And this is, I know we're taking too many breaks. This is a frustrating thing because if you're in marketing, if you're in the production side of any team, because that's where mostly I've done my work for the past, well, before I had to take medical leave. On the production side, if you listen to something and it's shit, you better say something. Speak up. Have some integrity, and I'm talking about real integrity in your work product, and say, something is wrong here. Can you hear this? And be aware of things that other people struggle with, like colorblind individuals and how you do your graphics. Can they read it? Or your PowerPoint presentations? Is it easily visible, not just for colorblind people, but others who need high contrast slides? Is it inclusive for different people? Audio wise, try to achieve some kind of excellence in your work. And if you don't know what that looks like, produce something, watch it back or listen to it back and say, am I proud of that? If you're not, get better next time. I know, that's right. I don't know why I'm harping on this. It's wild to me that someone has, and I'm not jealous. I'm saying it is like I feel like I'm being pranked because someone who is that big of an audience, and I'm guessing tons of people listen to her podcast, and this is what they're getting from someone who has millions of followers. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm confused.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
And I know you've probably heard this so many times, given your platforms are about foster care, but one of the most common comments and responses I've gotten is I could never do this because I would get too attached and I couldn't handle the heartbreak. And while that's real, right? It comes with the territory. These kids deserve to know what healthy attachment is. Could you expand on that a little bit and what that looks like for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I have heard that many times. And I think that the compassionate answer is, oh, I think you would be great. But what I'm always thinking is that is why I am a foster parent.
Yeah.
And that is why you maybe would be a great foster parent. If you're worried that you would fall in love and give so much attachment that you would be broken by the gift that you've given, then that is what makes a great foster parent. So
I'm not a parent. I know that this has been a point of contention with people who critique my channel, that I am not a parent. So how can I critique people who are parents? I've been a kid though, and I fortunately have some pretty great parents. And as someone emotional, I would say this. A therapist can give you some tools. Getting coached by a reputable, and maybe, I don't even know if foster organizations are licensed. I'm sure the good ones are. Give you great tips on how to interact and provide children with a safe environment if they're in your care temporarily. And as someone who's emotional, it is a selfish, it does seem like it's coming from a selfish perspective of well, I'm going to treat a kid really well and I might become too attached. And then what's going to happen to me when the kid goes? That is the wrong perspective to take. In my opinion. If you are a healthy, emotionally stable individual and you want to foster, you would bless a kid to provide, and if you are actually a safe person to be around, to provide a safe, stable environment so that they can rest. Potentially between shitty foster placements. Brittany Dawn is just a whole moment of oh. Yeah. Hey, Haley. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, Haley. I hope everyone is having a good evening. Just got home from a really hard day. So I'm glad to see DC in the chat. Spent the day picking out the headstone for my 20-year-old nephew. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to do that. Hey, beyond Brittany Dawn, wrecking our lives. Sending you empathy, Haley. I'm sorry, Ollie. It's awful. I'm glad you weren't there for that long, but I'm sorry that happened.
I understand where that's spoken from. I'm pretty sure I've said that before because you can't imagine loving a child as your own, having days, weeks, months, years with them, and then losing them. It is the greatest pain, a mother losing a child. And so to willingly put yourself in that, it is really scary. So first I just acknowledge, yes, that is a normal feeling. And it's something that can be honored of just like, yes, this is what the loss involved in motherhood, it should feel like it's going to break us. Of course, we have the comforts in the gospel there, but
it doesn't make it.
This is going to scare people away from fostering. Thank you, DC. It was really hard, but my honor to take care of him one last time. Now I can start the process of healing finally. I don't know what happened to my Kleenex, but I'm going to press play and I'm going to go find something because I'm a snotty mess.
Dear.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. The other piece of it, which you hinted at, is just that attachment is the whole point of this. That kids don't just need homes. They don't just need caretakers and their needs met. They need for someone to smile when they see them, for someone to cherish them and touch them and rub their hair and show affection. Those are actual biological needs. And so when we just look at, oh, we can create space in our home for this. We're missing the point.
can
Our
y'all not hear?
kids need moms and dads.
It should be, y'all should be able to hear it. The goal of foster care is reunification. It doesn't happen a lot. I just got here. What's happening? This is Brittany Dawn's podcast we're listening to, Chisels and Called. And she's talking about that God told her to be a foster parent, and she's interviewing someone who has a fostering organization and just sharing really shitty advice. So we're listening, and some people had really hard days in the live chat, so I'm just crying.
The interim of when their parents might not be able to care for them.
Wow.
So attachment is a gift that we get to give them that actually goes far past our personal one-on-one relationship with them. And it's a skill. It's a framework for relationship and trust, for believing that your needs will be met and that people are trustworthy. And so when we can build that into the brains and bodies of the kids in our home, then they can leave our home. And even if our personal bond with them is disconnected, that gift of attachment goes with them. And they now have the capacity to attach in healthy ways to other adults, other people who will love them. And so it really is the whole point of what we're doing here.
That's so beautiful. So beautifully put. I love what you said about how that these kids need moms and dads in the interim of when their parents can't care for them. That just I don't know why that just stuck out to me, because when we first became vocal about that, when we got our first placement, and it's like you can't really hide that you have a foster kid. Your whole life changes. I mean,
why would you want to hide that you have a foster kid? The way that Brittany says some things, it's so wild. And Brittany is the one that tells the world that she has a foster kid. She takes a picture and puts an emoji over their face within minutes of getting the foster kid and post it to her social media. It's not a child shouldn't be used to clout chase. Yeah, she's like, cool story. Let's talk about me. Also, the cousins insisted that the foster kids call them mom and dad. Oh my God. Oh, I misunderstood that, Holly. Sorry. Attachment bonds that are broken equals trauma, even when coming from a good place. Guess they are just going to ignore that topic. I think they are just going to ignore it. I want this coming in from the left instead. Okay.
whole life changes. It flips upside down for the best. So we shared about that, and there were so many people that were supporting, but there's always like the 5% that's just like, rawr. And there were so many mean comments about you're not a mom. I mean, and to the point where I started living in that shame, and I really had to pray into that and break it.
I don't think people should be assholes on the internet. I mean, I guess I'm kind of an asshole on the internet, but I don't. She's already trying to figure out how to be a foster parent, and then I think mostly people were saying, like, look, you are providing a safe space and care and food and clothing and making sure that their hygiene is taken care of, but you are not that kid's mom. I can see where people were saying that. Hey, Heya. Yes. Great point, Grumpy Cakes.
For me, because I started questioning, well, maybe I'm really not a mom. And that was also after I had gone through a miscarriage, when I knew I was a mom, but my baby was in heaven. And so I'm sure you've seen a lot of those comments too, where, foster moms aren't real moms. And maybe there's people out there that think that. But in my opinion of walking through just the 2 placements compared to your 30, which, girl, props to you. That's a wild journey. But in my experience, I'm like, no, we're doing all the things that a mom would do. We're up at 3 a.m. feeding, we're burping, we're cleaning diapers, we're, cleaning all the things, right? The only thing we didn't do is we didn't birth that child. And so, I don't know if you have anything to say to that, but
redirecting the conversation back onto herself, painting herself as the person who was wronged, and then pulling someone else in to build her up. Feels twisty.
So I first just want to pause real quick and just acknowledge the incredible sacrifice that I think is unique to you, and less so me as someone who you have your baby in heaven, but as someone who you're not just losing a foster child, you are losing the role of daily motherhood. And I think that is a unique sacrifice that moms, especially moms who have battled infertility and miscarriage, who crave.
It's not always content warning, infertility. It's not always infertility and miscarriage. Some people, like me, have never been able to get pregnant and never have had a miscarriage. It's not the way they always say some of this stuff. It's like, okay, but there's people out there, some who are never going to be able to get pregnant. So I don't know, just the way they're wording stuff. I keep getting stuck on what they're saying. I know I'm not being very coherent right now.
Motherhood and belief that God made them to be a mother, that there is just such a sacrifice of praise, of putting yourself in the path of certain loss and doing it out of love for your Savior and love for children who need you. I just want to honor and acknowledge how.
And there's foster. Yeah, and that's a great point. I didn't mean to make it about me. I was just saying, like, the way they're saying stuff is so limited in scope and how they're describing things that it's like there's nothing of value in this podcast. They've been talking back and forth for 17 minutes, and it's like they get so many things wrong. Or they're not fully explaining it, or they're off base.
How special that is that you have stepped into foster parenting as you're walking through your own loss and knowing that there's just going to be more loss.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Wow.
Yeah.
That got me emotional. I'm like, I've never thought of it that way, but that.
Are you? My dad always says, you're judging someone. And I do that on my account a lot. Sometimes it doesn't seem like Brittany Dawn gets emotional about stuff. When she says, oh, I'm getting emotional, and you sound perfectly fine, and your voice still sounds cute.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like when you say goodbye, you're losing that role until you open your home again and you get that next phone call, and then it's like you're all excited again, and you get to step into that role fully, and then it could be a short-term placement, it could be a long-term placement. You don't really know what the future.
And there's not just 2-parent homes who are fostering. Sometimes there's individuals, single individuals, who foster. Reunification is not the same as death. Yes. Thanks for the brand new way for me to make it about myself. Yep.
Hold. I mean, with our first one, we were told that it was most likely going to lead to adoption from the get-go. Not by our agency necessarily, but by CPS. And so we were just, we got really attached. But again, attachment needs to happen regardless, right? And so when I'll never forget, my husband was with that little one that day, and having a little boys' day out with him and taking care of him, which is so cute. And we got that phone call, and my whole world came crashing down. And it felt like I lost that role of motherhood for a season. So thank you for saying that. That kind of puts it into words that I've never been able to say myself.
Yeah. You are a mother always.
She's in Texas. There are private foster groups here in Texas, from what I understand. And you just have to pass a background check, and then you are put on a list. So I think that's how it is. And it might just be, I haven't looked all the way into it, but there's a lot less hoops to jump through if it's a private organization.
You've mothered, even if it's in your womb. Once you've mothered, you are a mother. But I think functionally that role, to put it on and take it off, for me, it is life altering. It flips my life upside down when a child comes and when a child leaves. And I have 5 others who my life revolves around. We need to be willing to talk about this in the terms of mother and father, because these kids deserve that. And part of what we get to give these kids is that brain and body skill of attachment, but it's also understanding what a mother is. And so it shouldn't just be that, especially when we're talking about young children, when we're talking about babies and toddlers, that mother means, tucking you into bed and cherishing you and being the one to kiss your boo-boos and all of that. We don't want kids to lose that time with us of not experiencing the gift of a mother and a father. And it doesn't mean that we take that on like, okay, these kids are ours now, because they are not. They have a mother and father. What it means is that every child deserves to have a functional mother and father.
Or parents, or 2 dads, or 2 moms, or non-binary, or someone, whoever that is, who's safe and reasonable and can care for someone, even if it's for a short period of time. And like so many of you have said, The whole point and the best outcome is reunification with the bio parents, if that's possible.
At all times, or functional parent, because I know many single parents who are doing this so beautifully. And I believe that God fills in the gap of parents, but that these kids deserve to know this is mom. This is what mom means, even if it's for a short time. And it's important that we honor biological parents, that we talk about them as mother and father, mom and dad, and honor that. But I think that just to meet these kids' needs and not embrace that they are a part of our family, that they are beloved, that they are sibling and child, means that they are missing so much.
Wow.
So own that motherhood.
That's so, wow. That is something that, again, I've wanted to say, but it takes Jamie Finn to put it into words for me, because you are the expert and I am not. And I feel like a baby duck learning how to walk through all of this, especially with all those comments. And,
Sure.
People don't, it's just,
God forbid that comment on the internet, on social media, when you're exploiting a child that you're supposed to be fostering, prevents you from saying things that you know nothing about. Sorry, I'm stressed. I'm stress crafting. I'm glad my parents, or at least I didn't grow up with social media. I'm glad my parents never said anything like, "Oh my gosh, can you believe what was said on social media? I'm going to change how I parent." And in a bad way, not in a good way. Oh, thank you, Rafa. Thank you, UDT, for your empathy, for the safe space you open so we can have difficult conversations. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you, Rafa. That's very kind of you. She is an experience, yes. Kids do deserve to be loved. Yeah, it's biblical terminology. There's a lot of seasons in the Bible. And so do the older kids. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the comments, but I'm having a hard time. Children deserve to have people that love, care, respect, and accept them, period. Gender has nothing to do with those things. Yeah. I think it's hard, and it's nobody wants to listen. I get it. Listening to these influencers or top people in MLMs or things that we all have big feelings about, it's hard to process through. And it's how do we process through it without getting slimed? And I haven't quite figured that out yet. Modest Hermit, hello. I love Zelda. I love Zelda so much. Uh-oh. I do look a little bit like Princess Leia. I tried to make my buns behind my ears, but I do look a little bit like Princess Leia for sure. And again, let me look into it so I can... Okay, there's a list of Texas foster care agencies. Okay. Here is for Texas. No. Texas foster care agencies y'all can y'all can look at here. And then here's what this info says. If you live in Texas, your help is sorely needed. In January 2019 alone, there were nearly 30,000 kids in the foster care system. Starting a foster home is definitely a big financial and time commitment, but don't worry. We're here to walk you through the foster parent application process. I'm trying to read about... I'm sorry, I'm so itchy. That's why I keep scratching my face. There are... Let me go back. Foster care agencies can either be public or private, but both are equally qualified to help you along your journey as a foster parent. The main difference is that public agencies are managed at a county level, while private foster care agencies are privately managed. And I'm guessing she went through a private one. Yep. I'm just going to take some Benadryl real quick. Crystal, hello, latent slurching. If anyone's slurching, which is slouching and lurking, feel free to just listen and craft or do something while you're listening.
Unfortunately, it's not a common thing to be a foster parent. I wish it were, because I feel like that would change the trajectory of the system in itself. But people just don't really know how to respond, or they don't understand what it is. I mean, we had no idea what we were getting into.
Yeah,
We
sure.
thought we knew. We went through all the training and all the courses and all the certifications that we needed. And I mean, we were all in, committed, fully, full throttle, full speed ahead. But it's like, until you get that first call, you have no idea what you're signing up for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other piece is that a lot of people who have seen foster care have seen it done in a way that is like, okay,
Whoops.
I've rescued you out of this bad family and these bad parents, and now you're mine, and I can fix this, and you'll forget about them. And so I understand the sort of overcorrection of like, these kids aren't yours, they belong to family. But it needs to be the both and. It needs to be that we support reunification, that we pray for and love parents, that we're rooting for a family to be healed, and that when a child is in our home, they are fully part of our family and loved, and there is no difference. So it's this, there's a big difference and there's no difference. They are ours and they are theirs. It's the tension of the both and of foster care, which touches every part of foster care. Foster care is never just one thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love how you said the tension. It's both, right? So one thing that I think a lot of people, that scares them of getting into foster care is actually the goodbye. It's the heartache, it's the loss, it's that I could never handle saying goodbye. And I don't think that people realize that that's okay. Like that's part of the process, and that it's your humanness that's coming out. And I've seen so many just beautiful ways of putting it, but like that just shows the kids that they were worth being attached to.
That's good.
That could be even something that you've quoted or said. I don't know where I saw something like that, but I would love for you to speak into that, because I could understand why that would prevent parents from wanting to step in to be a foster parent, or even maybe it makes it difficult for them to understand why their friends or their family are doing it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we have said goodbye to a lot of kids. Like I said, we have had 30 placements. We've adopted 3, which means, you do the math. We've said goodbye quite a few times.
27.
Sometimes after just a couple days. And my daughter left after 2.5 years. And she was, barely 3. So it was most of her life, and a big part of my forever kids' lives also. So when I say that foster care has brought me more suffering, more sadness and sorrow,
Sorry, I'm not on my phone. I'm crocheting because I'm stressed out. You are fostering them, not owning them. Hey, Jenny. I think it's important that we know what kind of ideas are out there. And one thing the lady said that I do agree with is welcoming the kids into the home without any reservations on the love that you share with them, even if they're just there for 2 days. Or like she said, 2 years, and then she gets to go back with her family so that they get the best living situation. The kids get the best living situation possible. It's not a battle for ownership. It's human beings. Yes, I think they're doing a bad job of explaining how heart-wrenching it must be to fully support reunification and really try to show these kids that they're loved and accepted and welcome without any reservation while they're in that specific home. I'm trying not to cry. I'm sorry. This is upsetting to listen to, that they're sharing these twisty ideas about the foster care system. And there's so many kids who need help.
Than anything else in my life. That is very much the case. Now, It's also brought more joy, more purpose, more beauty. So it's not just that, but I think we can have faith for the goodbye when we have faith for the reason behind the goodbye, meaning things that are hard but good. We have a belief that the good outweighs the bad. First of all, we know losing a child means that there is pain involved, but it doesn't mean that the wrong thing happened. So a child being reunited with a parent who has become healthy, who has left an abusive relationship and, is now clean, has become mentally more healthy. Those things are wonderful things to be celebrated. And when a child is able to be in their healed family again, the way that God intended, that is a beautiful thing that we can, in the midst of our tears, say, oh God, you are so good that you heal families, that you bring restoration and redemption to things that sin destroyed. And that is what the gospel is. That is what Jesus does. So anytime we get to be a part of something so eternal, something so central to the heart of the gospel,
I think the we she's referencing is Christians. This is so twisty, comparing the death or loss of a child to a foster kid being reunited with their bio family is so disgusting.
And consider that suffering as suffering that's done as unto him. And we know that suffering that's done unto him, it produces suffering produces perseverance, which it produces character and hope. And the things that we really want, the fruit that we want in our hearts, they come through hard things often that we wouldn't choose. So we know.
Yes, they are saying that, Kirsten, sorry. And they sound like traditional, more fundamental type of Christians who only recognize relationships that are between a man and a woman. And that is why they are using this specific type of language in their commentary. Thanks, Alexis. I think it's important because we're going to have a lighthearted stream tomorrow. I'm going to stream with Amy and we're going to do, it's keying out, but it's the Fallacy Detective. It's a green and yellow cover. It's just going to be lighthearted. It's not going to be. You can say biggest. It's okay. Yeah, I try to be specific because I hope that maybe some people who watch my stream change their minds about how they perceive others. And if they hear that I'm describing Brittany Dawn and whatever this lady's name is, Jamie Finn, I'm trying to be specific about describing the behavior. And I don't do a great job when I talk about Jessie Lee when she's being anti-Semitic. But when we learn about things that someone's willing to listen for longer, not in a manipulative way, but because they're not running up against words that maybe other people have said about them before, that maybe they're willing to have a reasonable discussion or at least mull over what we're talking about. Oh my God, Lynn, I'm sorry. Thanks, Desiree. Do Debbie Fab or something. At least you can snark on them for sure. Weird twist. I fostered my nephews for a year. I was happy to love them and also happy when they got to go back to their mom. It's about them. These people are so plastic, so gross.
We're saying goodbye to a child because a family is now healed and whole and together. That is something that we can celebrate even through the tears. And we can entrust our pain to our God who promises to do something good even for us in the midst of that pain.
Wow. So good. Everything you're saying, I'm just like, dang, you're just so wise in this realm. I think I love how you hit on restoration of families because that's the whole point of foster care. And they make that very known when you start training for foster care, that they make that very known. Of course, there are, a lot of foster to adopt situations. I mean, you have adopted 2 yourself, I think you said? Adopted 2? 3. Oh my gosh. Yep. So cute. And you guys have
Brittany Dawn, why would you not have notes when you're talking about her? She just told you 3. Brittany Dawn, in my opinion, is so focused on herself and making herself appear reasonable and intelligent and whatever it is, shiny and sparkly. She's not freaking listening to the person she's talking to.
beautiful family, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. But I think a lot of people don't realize that you're actually coming alongside these these parents, and you're advocating for them too. And you're believing for them, and you're a cheerleader for them. And, you know, that we learned that very quickly with our first placement. It was so easy at first to feel like protective. How could you, right? Like that's our humanist coming out.
Right.
Because you know the story, you know what that child went through. And it was like the Lord just quickly removed that from us at the first visitation. And we got to meet the birth mom, and it was incredible. And I just remember getting in Jordan's truck after on our way back home with the little one. And I was just like, I was wrong. I was so wrong about all of this. Like, this is like the Lord is doing something here. And he was. And,
the religious talk is a little bit hard to process. And I know really great Christians. I don't know what I am anymore. My parents are amazing humans, and they're Christian. Just because you don't think or do think that God is doing something in a moment doesn't mean that you're not like meeting the needs of kids who cannot care for themselves. And somehow the situation was better because you thought God was doing something in that moment. And somehow there's meaning, or you want to participate more. Who gets the short end of the stick in that situation? Kids do.
There's so much you could say to that, because a lot of people don't understand that you're actually walking. You're not pointing fingers. You're not casting stones. You're actually walking alongside the birth parents, and advocating for them as well.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I very much came into foster parenting with a saviorism, with I get to take you from these bad parents, and finally you can have good parents, and just such, to be honest, an arrogant way of thinking. And so I think when we have a humility before God of knowing who we truly are, knowing what we're capable of without his grace, it levels the playing field. When we acknowledge our own sinful tendencies, our sinful nature, the gifts and privileges that we've received, you know, the support systems that we have and all of the resources we've had. When you look and say, oh, if I lived that life and without the grace of God, yes, I'm that too. Mm-hmm. I am all of the things, that rap sheet that I read on this person and othered them and saw myself as better than them. I'm that too without the grace of God. So that humility is so important. And it's the grace of God that he did that in both of our hearts. I'm so grateful for that. But it has put me on a trajectory, as I hear it's put you on, of not just seeing the mission of foster care as having a child in your home, but seeing the mission being supporting a family, praying for a family, looking for ways to serve a family, looking for ways inside our home within the context of visits, even extra opportunities to build connection between child and parent.
I don't disagree with what she's saying. The perspective, if you're looking at it from a healthy perspective, that you are a tool or a player in a bigger scheme of supporting a family that needs help, I don't disagree with that. And if you're the tool or the person to help keep a kid safe while a family is trying to heal and get better, and you're there to support the whole family, I like that description. I'm not trying to cry. I hate crying. I know I cry all the time. I don't. If I could never cry on stream, I would not. and my brain does not turn off when I am emotional. It just means that sometimes it's hard to talk.
That is, I think, the full-bodied mission that foster care can be, that sadly too many foster parents are missing out on. And that means that the biological parents are missing out on it. And more than that, it means the kids are missing out on it. Too many foster parents see foster parenting as bring the kid into my home and I will take care of this kid in my home. Instead of our family is going to jump into another family's story. We're going to invite this family into our lives. We're going to look for ways to walk with them, love them, serve them, pray for them. That is the truest definition of especially Christian foster parenting that we get to be a part of. It's so much bigger and better than just taking care of a child.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much bigger than us, right? Like it's,
right.
I think too, I love how you said you came in with that savior complex, right? Like I think a lot of parents do. I think I can definitely say that that was never our intention. But when you get that first child, like I said, you immediately become so protective of like, oh, I'm going to keep you from them. But like you can't, like you are trying to restore and heal and nurture that relationship. And it was just so beautiful watching the Lord break those walls down. And he just like unraveled any interpretation of what I thought foster care was just a puddle of mush on the floor. I was like, this is all crazy. This isn't what I thought it was. Like, oh my gosh, what is God doing in my heart? And I just remember processing that with the Lord in the nursery while I'm rocking this little one to sleep. And I was just like, this is it. Like, this is it. It's not what my flesh wants. Like, which like as Christians, we're called to die to our flesh. We're called to die to our ways, our desires. And it's like, of course I'm silly. I should have known that it wasn't going to be anything I thought it was.
Right.
But what is one of I think there's so many misinterpretations of foster care. There's so many things that people from the outside looking in might assume, or, you just don't really know until you're in the thick of it yourself. What is one of the biggest misinterpretations that you've heard from outsiders looking in, or maybe even foster parents when they're first getting started?
So I know that there are many practical answers to this, but I'm going to say I think the biggest misinterpretation is that we are special, that there is something about us that is like built for this and capable of this in a way that other people aren't.
Wow.
It's not like I have a superpower to take care of a child, but protect my heart, or to see a parent who has hurt a child and not see what they've done, or there is no superpower involved. There is you just referenced, dying to self, putting on love, God tearing the arrogance and sin out of our hearts. Those are the only things that happen that are special. And those are all things just that God does. So I think that the biggest misconception is that there's something different about us, that we aren't just regular people with regular families who have decided to open our doors to other kids and other families. And
I agree with part of what she's saying. I don't agree with everything she's saying. I think it's meaningful to say anybody can foster, and maybe stop projecting that it's only people who have their lives together that should foster, but it should be about the kid. What do kids need? And you can find out that from foster agencies, and even if you go through the training for foster kids, just so that you know and are fully informed, and then you can decide if you're the right person or partnership to open your home to support a foster kid. That anybody could do it, but it's important to know your limitations and the constraints, if there are some that are there. I don't agree with everything she's saying. I just I agree with part of what she's saying. Ouch.
I think that sort of shuts the door on a lot of the reasons that people don't pursue foster care, because they think, oh yeah, you have the ability, you have these special things that I don't have. And really, we just have the grace of God. We have a lot of work that we're doing in our thinking, in our hearts, in becoming trauma informed and all those things. But there was nothing about us when we started this or now that is special.
Wow. It's so true. And the amount of times, I don't know if this is how you feel. When I first announced that we were going to be foster parents, I genuinely didn't know how to respond to all the praise. Like it made me uncomfortable.
Right.
Because it felt like people were praising a broken situation. And I just remember, like, I try every day to respond to comments, and there were several posts I was just like, I don't know how to respond to these. Like, because it's a sad situation. I mean, a child is being removed from a home from his parents, right? There's so much brokenness, and I'm sitting there looking at all the brokenness around, and I know why and how and when and all those things. And it's just like, I don't understand how people can say congrats. That makes me really uncomfortable. And so, I've been learning to respond, and, you know, when people are like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful calling. I'm like, I just want to be like, you could do it too.
Yeah.
But it's not really, I mean, I do believe it's a calling, but, I'm like, you could, if you truly just ask the Lord to do that work in your heart, you could do it too. And I read a statistic, or I had someone tell me this, and I don't know if
She feels good. And this is my opinion. It comes across, and I'm open to the idea that my take on this is wrong because I'm just someone running their mouth on the internet. It comes across that she feels good that she is the foster parent and that people tell her, congratulations, or I can't believe you did that, or that's such a big thing to do. You're such a good person for doing that. And then there's a false modesty of, oh, well, I'm interviewing this lady who's done this so much. I just want to tell people that they can do this too, when it really just stops that people are looking at me and I feel good about myself because people think that I'm somehow better for being a foster parent. That's how it comes across to me.
actual statistic, but in the state of Texas, which I can only imagine how many churches there are, but I was told that if every church in the state of Texas adopted or fostered a child that was in need, that there wouldn't be a need for the system. And I was like,
they say that nationally too.
Really?
They say that nationally churches outnumber kids in the system.
That's crazy. It's like, it makes you wonder, and that's a whole conversation in itself, but it makes you wonder why churches aren't stepping up to do that. And I think it's just because they genuinely think that there's,
interesting,
you have to be special or you have to have a calling. And it's just like, no, just be the hands and feet of Jesus. That's
right.
That's it right there.
Yeah. And real quick, I want to just speak to anyone who's hearing this who's like, yes, I'm on board with everything you guys are saying, except that I am sure for these reasons that we are not supposed to open our home. And there are many reasons. The longer I'm at this, the more I'm like, oh, no. We're not all meant to be foster parents.
Thank you for saying that. At least she said it. We're not all meant to be foster parents. At least she said it.
That could be one of a million practical. It could be your trauma history. It could be the needs of the kids in your home. There are many reasons why people aren't called to be foster parents, but there still can be a belief that we are all called to be a part of this mission.
Yes.
That when there are vulnerable families and kids in our communities, that they are our responsibility. They are not the state's responsibility. It's not the government's kids. This is the church's responsibility. These are God's kids. These are God's created, beloved people. So I think there should be a conversation of just more people should lean into foster parenting. But even for those who won't, who shouldn't, there is a space to walk with foster parents, to serve vulnerable families so that kids are not removed from them. There's a space to donate and volunteer and mentor. And so if anyone's hearing this and hearing the mission, but going, but that's not for me. Well, it is for you. It's just, how is it for you? It might not be as a foster parent, but it might be as something just as valuable, just as beautiful, that you can get involved in right now.
That's so good. Yeah. Cause there's so many different ways to help even support foster parents. If you don't feel like you can step into it, there's so many ways you can support, and community is everything. We've learned that very quickly. The community is everything. And, I know, we've mentioned how daunting it can seem to some people. One thing that I feel like is not talked about enough is how invasive the process can feel of becoming a foster parent. I know for us, it was like finances, bank statements, mortgage. Yes. Like you didn't see that one coming, but that definitely came. Your marriage, your past, all your trauma. Like it just literally felt like someone was sitting across from me writing a case study about my whole life, because they were.
Right.
Yeah. And so to someone that maybe that's their reason why they don't want to step into this, because they are very private, they don't want people to know their life. And I get it, right? Like, I get that. There's things in my life that I've never shared. I'm sure I will one day, but you have to have that level of privacy. But there's no privacy with foster care.
No, there isn't.
What would you say to encourage someone that maybe is wrestling with that?
Well, first I would like to explain it a little bit, which is that so many kids, sadly, especially in the past, they jumped out of the pot and into the fire.
Wow.
And too many kids have been removed from situations where maybe there wasn't even abuse. Maybe it was poverty or practical things, and pulled into abusive foster homes. And I think too many of us, they see people like you and I who love Jesus and love people, and that's why we're doing it. And the sad reality, and I see this a lot in my work, is how many foster parents are not motivated by love, are not doing the work to become trauma informed and learn how to handle challenging behaviors and situations. So
without corporal punishment. You have to go in to these foster situations, and she's right about the trauma part, but it's so much more than that. Yes, and some of the kids aren't Christian. That's, yeah, and again, I would say obviously some people behave their way into consequences, meaning there's a lot of Christians who've done really shitty things. There's parts in the Bible that talk where they're talking about, who do you take care of? And I'm crying because I'm sad about how twisty this is. But talking about taking care of widows and orphans. And not everyone's a Christian. Not everyone believes in a higher power. I get where some people come from, and they're saying, if I have enough money and I had the capacity, couldn't more people just open up their homes without expectation of being converted and take care of kids who need help? And I think that's sometimes where some of the healthy, stable, balanced believers come from, And then we have this twisty mess that we're listening to on the podcast. I have had very negative experiences in the church. I know that it's not always going to be the case where we can have a balanced conversation, but I also want to say I want to be respectful of the people in the chat who still do believe, and respectful to the people who do not. And I get that there are lots of shitty Christians in the world. And you don't have to be a Christian to have good morals and ethics, and that's exactly right, Lynn. And if this is too much, where people are having physiological reactions and getting upset because this is upsetting information, please pop out of the chat. Please take care of your mental health. Please take care of yourself. Please be kind to yourself as well. I know, and again, we're talking about really hard things in the chat. Please just remember, or please be considerate to others in the chat who are having a difficult time processing this conversation. If we're getting into a debate and talking about heavy things, if you can put a content warning when you're talking about things so that people can skip comments if they need to, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to navigate how to make the live chat safe for people, especially when we're talking about really hard things. And I know this is a tough conversation. I get it.
There are bad foster parents. There are also good foster parents who handle things badly.
Yeah.
And it's important that the system protects kids from too many situations that children have been pulled into in the past. So there is a reality of making sure that we are the homes that these kids should be in. But I would say that there is a level of sacrifice involved in this that you simply can't get past. And so what I don't want to do is explain away the sacrifice to try to make someone feel comfortable enough to jump into foster parenting, because you simply can't explain away the sacrifice. If you're comfortable with, the state invading your home and family, you're going to be uncomfortable at other points. And if there's one point that goes well for you, there are going to be other points that don't go well.
Amen.
And there needs to be this overwhelming faith that when we follow God into hard spaces, that it will be hard. I mean, Jesus promises that there will be hardship, but tells us to take heart because he has overcome the world.
Wow.
So in this world, there will be trouble, but our hope, our ability to take heart is that he's won. So when there are things that are scary, are hard, are not things we would have chosen for our family or our home.
And again, we're all navigating this and trying to figure it out. There's a whole huge range of beliefs in the chat, and I love that. And I love that our mutual thing that I think we all circle around is civility and respect. And remembering the humanity in one another when we talk about hard things, or if we're debating or talking about things from different perspectives. So I appreciate how reasonable and understanding the live chat has been, and I know that some of these, we're figuring out how to talk about this as we go.
It comes back to, what do we take heart in? the fact that Jesus died, was raised to life, and beat it all. That he will have victory, he will have justice, that his good work will be done. So that overwhelms the hard things that we walk through when we see, oh yeah, he is the one on the throne. This stuff, it's all passing away, and he and what he's done and what he's doing will remain forever.
Wow, that's so good. That's such a beautiful way of looking at it, because again, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed when you're like, oh, CPS is coming. And ours down here is called OCOK. I don't know what it is in New Jersey, but they're kind of like the middleman between CPS and our agency.
Okay.
And it's just like, then they're showing up, and then our agency's showing up, and people are knocking on your door. And this is just, they're like, oh, hey, like this is part of the process. And you realize that your home becomes almost like a revolving door for the government. And it's very easy to feel. So that's such a beautiful way of looking at it, is just like, the Lord is in the hard things, and he can do good with those hard things.
That's right.
Another hard thing that I can't really speak to.
I think it takes over a year here, from what I understand.
But I'm sure, I know you can, because we don't have our own kids yet. But what is it like having kids of your own? And then when you stepped into the foster care process, was that a hard transition? Is it still a hard thing sometimes? Or is it one of those, group things where it's like, all hands on deck, like everyone's on board, we're all full speed ahead? What is that like?
For us, it's a little bit of both, meaning that everyone loves that we are a foster family. Everyone is eager to help, very open to knowing and loving biological parents, love anytime a new kiddo comes. So they have enthusiasm for it, but similarly to what we were just talking about, they lack the deep faith, especially my littles, in Jesus that sustains me, which means that when things are hard, they don't have the understanding for why it's worth it naturally.
Yeah.
But that is an opportunity. So what I see is that foster care has brought hardship and loss into my kids' lives that wouldn't be there otherwise. But what I also see is that God has used that hardship and loss as opportunities to teach them about himself, to teach them about the way that most of the world lives, that the rest of the world doesn't live in this happy, privileged life that they do, that other people who are struggling are just like us, that they are loved by God and should be supported and helped. It has taught them lessons that in their middle class, happy family, little lives, I don't know how else they would have learned them. And so I trust that God has used the hard things to.
This type of perspective that God is somehow using traumatic things in your life to teach you shit is so twisty. I'm not articulating it very well because it's a hard conversation to have, and I don't want to continue not being able to articulate what I want to say. If someone in church is telling you that all of these trials and trauma are because God's letting it happen to you, it's just twisty as hell. Yes. So Brittany Dawn is a former fitness influencer. She's been in the influencing space for about 10 or 11 years. She, I think, was married, then got divorced, then was having her fitness era, and then after she scammed a bunch of people, in my opinion, she turned to Jesus, had a religious experience which so happened to coincide with allegedly scamming people out of millions of dollars. And then she met her new husband, and they have been in the religious space for the last 4 or 5 years. And she hosts retreats. And in my opinion, this podcast was put out to help repair her image, her public image. And the things that she spews in the podcast are out of touch, lacking self-awareness, blatantly wrong, twisty, with a lot of warnings that needed. Religious manipulation, logical fallacies, mouth noises, all the things. And we've been covering her podcast because it really gives an insight into who she is. And we get to not debunk necessarily, but address her points. And try to do it. Sometimes I get spicy. But hopefully, or maybe people who like Brittany Dawn can listen to this and maybe get a different perspective, or wake up and realize the person they're supporting maybe isn't sharing information that other people should be filing away in their brain. She has been approved to foster. I think she goes through a private organization because she just said that there's a middleman that talks with CPS and with their private person. So there are multiple people are making sure those kids are okay at her house. But I'm not sure if those people know that these kids are being shared on social in a big way. And we are here watching it. Yep, Haley has the deets on it. Haley said she went away for a few weeks/months and came back as a new, changed woman, and anyone who brings up her past practices is attacking Christ, in her opinion. Yep. I personally did not have a good experience as a foster child and have seen so many foster parents who are only in it for the money. I've known a couple of great foster parents, and I've known shitty foster parents.
Teach them and to do things in their hearts that are really beautiful, that he's making them who he has them to be through things that I would never choose for them.
Wow.
So I see it as a gift, as an opportunity.
From what I understand, the agencies get funding from the state when they place kids, and then the parents get money to take care of the kids. So the more kids you have, the more money you get. And then the shitty parents try to take care of the kids on as little money as possible so they get to make money watching kids. That's seemingly what the shitty parents do and the shitty organizations do, because they get money from the state and then they pay a certain amount to take care of kids. And some states are better than others, in my opinion, because you have to show receipts that you're paying for clothing for the kids and you're paying for food for the kids, and you submit them, and then they are looked over. Have to get up at 5:30 a.m., so I'm bugging out, but I'm glad I caught your live. I listen to you and other anti-MLM creators every day while I work at the restaurant. Karen, thanks for being here. I hope you have a great day at work tomorrow. And again, if you don't, the influence thing is hard to articulate and again, I don't think she grew up in church, I'm not sure. But there's years and years and years of Sunday school. There's years and years and years of listening to sermons. There's the practice of trying to be selfless and patient and kind and slow to anger and stuff, and all of the things that Christians kind of hold up. And then you're being told that God's going to reveal what your path is, and you want to do God's calling on your life, or you want to do the job that God's called you to do so that you're not wasting your talents. So you're looking for this kind of meaning in every single thing that you're doing, or you're looking for meaning in any interaction or whatever it is. And then she told us that someone at church was the one that told her that there were people who needed to foster, and then she's best friends with the girl who confirmed it for her, and she, in my opinion, went to people for confirmation of a generic word from God. I know someone who had their home rebuilt and a brand new SUV and holidays because they fostered a child with many needs that's been in long-term care, but they are exceptionally good foster parents to that child. And there's some great foster parents out there. There are. And there's some shitty ones.
Even through the hard times.
That is so beautiful. Wow. It makes me like, I can't wait. Because we know we want to continue fostering even after we have our own kids one day. And it's just like, wow, that's going to be such a beautiful sanctifying process of like teaching these littles that there's Jesus in there. Like Jesus is there, he's here, but like it might not look like the kind of lesson that you would teach if you had to, but
right.
But it's like Holy Spirit, and the Lord always knows the best way to apply practical things to children, right? Like it's different. Mm-hmm. It's so different. So to wrap this up, I want to honor your time. If someone listening to this wants to be a foster parent, or they're considering stepping into the foster parent space and want to get information, what would you recommend?
I would recommend a couple of things. First of all, you want to build your heart for the family. You want to build your theology for how God created the family and how it is sacred to him as something.
I know there's better ways to do this. With really problematic people, I like to look at their content in its entirety, because with so much information control going on out there, it is so easy for me to clip really bad parts about what Brittany Dunn says. And I think in its entirety, this is a bad podcast. But it's more about who I want to be as a person instead of who I want Brittany to look at or to look like if I was clipping her. And it's not, I know YouTube's more of a long form content, but that's why I think it's important. And I try to do that with Jessie Lee too. But it's definitely like an emotional roller coaster. And I don't know how I'm going to do this in the future, if I need to find shorter things to do or what.
He made. So I think when we are really fighting for that beforehand, we come into it. You and I learned it by the grace of God, but we can come into it with that belief that really drives the way that we do this and the way we think and pray. I would say in the same way, build your faith in the sovereignty and goodness of God.
So good.
People want practical answers to this. Like, what should I buy? Where should I go? For me, it is all heart and head work. If we are believing that the family was created by God and it's worth fighting for, if we're believing that God is sovereign and good and that we can trust him, then when the hard things come, there is that rock that we've built in our heart. We've hidden these truths in our heart.
I know, but then when you think, okay, the only good thing is God and everything else is out there against me, you're going to stop using discernment and you're going to stop listening to your gut and saying, this is not from God, this is wrong. And we're going to hold people accountable to the standards that the earth has. This is how it gets so twisty when awful things happen to kids in churches. It's like us against the world. And it's like, no. I'm not really making much sense.
That when things come that challenge that belief, it is the bedrock of our hearts and our thinking. And then the other head and heart thing would just be becoming trauma informed. The kids who enter our home through foster care and adoption have always experienced trauma in one way or another. And even that baby straight out of the hospital, they have experienced trauma. And so I think when we understand the way that trauma changes the brain and body and really can affect the behaviors and beliefs of our kids, it can empower us to help them through what can be really challenging behaviors and really hard dynamics. So do a lot of head and heart work. Don't just go out and
do a lot of therapy work from a licensed clinician, in my opinion.
Buy the stuff and sign up for the things. Do this heart and head work. And I think that you and the kids that you welcome into your home will be in a much better place.
Yeah. Yeah. We just had trauma informed care the other night, just, keeping our certs up to date. And it's like, we had already been through that class last year, but then we went through it again. And I was just like, it was like a whole nother veil was lifted.
This is why she types out her transcripts and reads them on her podcast, because she does not sound cohesive or clear on her podcast.
Just you see things differently.
That's very true.
It's such a constant learning process because, you can't take one class and you're like, I know everything. Like you're going to learn through situations. And even babies, babies carry trauma. The first 3 months of their life is crucial. And when they're taken from their mom,
it's not just that. There are some babies that are born with drug addictions because the mom was using while she was pregnant. And that's a whole nother level of care that you need to be aware of. And Brittany is not aware of any of it.
That's trauma. So
that's right.
Wow. Thank you so much for everything. This conversation was so fruitful. Before we wrap up, where can everyone find you? Do you have any links or social media? Feel free to share.
Yeah, my book, Foster the Family, which talks about a lot of the things that we talked about today, just in more depth and with scripture and facts and all of that. Foster the Family is available in all the places you buy books. I am on Instagram at Foster the Family blog and Facebook. And I love to talk about these things that, trauma and gospel-centered foster parenting and fighting for love of biological parents. So anytime you're hearing me talk about all of this. So
yes, I love that though. It's so needed, especially in our noisy digital era culture. So
you're adding to the noise, Brittany Dawn.
It's so good. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jamie.
Thank you.
Where's Savvy? Does anyone know Savvy? Savvy writes books. I'll ask Savannah. Savannah and Savvy can cover this book, maybe.
Brittany, this has been such a sweet conversation. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Wow. I'm truly at a loss for words. I am so grateful that I had
Are you at a loss for words because you didn't write out this transcript or anything of a speech nature so that you could sound intelligent on this podcast?
Opportunity to interview and talk with and have conversation with Jamie Finn. I could not think of a better person to have that dialogue with when it comes to being a father.
Maybe a psychiatrist, maybe a therapist, maybe an expert in the field, maybe someone who has focused on child-centered fostering or child-centered adoption. Oh my God. I'm trying to self-regulate. I'm sorry.
Parent and foster care and what the system looks like than her. I hope that this blessed you guys. I hope that if you're listening to this and you've been considering foster care or you want to step into the foster parenting realm of any capacity, or maybe you just have a friend down the street that's a foster parent and you don't know how to support them, I hope that this gives you some insight and some advice on how best to do that, what your next steps moving forward should be. Because again, it might seem like a calling for some people, and it is. It's not for everyone, but there is always a way to support the foster care families that are stepping into this this arena and this role and this situation.
What about your local schools when teachers are paying out of pocket for school supplies or bringing snacks because kids are hungry? Why don't you invest in local schools or vote different people into office? I'm not trying to get political, I'm sorry. I'm trying to child-centered adoption, Stephen Hassan. Okay, it is a little bit difficult to listen to, but Dr. Joyce McGuire Powell she talks about best adoption practices and the importance of understanding the human need for positive attachment and relationships. Powell is a pioneer in advocating that the emphasis on adoption should be child-centered, that its goal should be to find the right family for a child, rather than just finding a child for a family. She's the author of a book, The Family of Adoption, and provides counseling and coaching for parents and children involved in the adoption process. It's not about fostering, but it's a very interesting perspective because it's focused on the child. I'm going to link it. It's the back and forth is a little bit hard sometimes, but she's incredible and you can look at her information. That was rough. Oh wait, there's still more.
Because it's hard, it's taxing, it's emotionally draining, it's physically exhausting sometimes, and it's just a lot. So I am so grateful for the opportunity to have Jamie as a guest. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to take 5, 10, 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, definitely, Haley. Haley asked, may I ask for some suggestions from you in the live chat regarding something very close to me tonight? I'm very new to the area of actually fighting to make a difference and need some suggestions. Yeah. Let us know in the chat what you need help with. Thank you for saying that. I was dirt poor teaching, but still bought snacks for certain kids who are having a hard time at home and were falling asleep in school from malnutrition. Teachers need help. They do. They need a ton of help. Sorry, this was a tough podcast. Sorry. I'm going to wait until we're able to answer Haley's question. Y'all make sure to take a deep breath. Take a drink of water or of a delicious whatever you're drinking. I'm going to go put on a sweatshirt and sweatpants and be comfy cozy and probably crochet some more. I didn't get very far. I'm doing top down. But the sleeves are still being formed right now. So, and then I gotta block it so there won't be as many bumps. Sorry, I keep wiping my nose. Trigger warning for suicide and homophobia. What are some good groups? Thank you, Ov. That's so kind of you. It's really generous. Thank you so much. Emotional support puppy for everyone. So, Haley said, trigger warning for suicide, homophobia. What are some good groups to get involved with regarding these topics? Specifically, suicide of homosexual young people. I should know more about these fights, but I'm ready. That's a great question. And I've been learning a lot from Val and Gus. I will look into it. I don't have I'm sure the live chat has great recommendations. I'm not sure I am happy to look it up and talk to them and see if there's better recommendations. Nelkita came through. Trevor Project for LGBTQA+. Another recommendation for the Trevor Project. Yes, Cindy, it's a tough stream. It might not be the best thing to listen to before you go to sleep. Was a little bit of a hard stream because of the topic. Something I've run into, and this may be off basis, and I'm not recommending you touch someone without consent, but a lot of times, or from what I've been reading, from what I've seen, if you but if you start expanding I say your sphere of influence, there's kids who come out to their parents, and their parents treat them completely different. Or the parents treat who they are as somehow negatively contagious. And so they stop getting hugs. They stop getting the same level of care and getting to talk with people they love. And that's just one thing. And it's like, be kind. Look at people in the eyes. Treat people with compassion and care. And I know y'all are telling me about the Trevor Project. I'm still new to this. I'm still learning a lot. But remembering the humanity in others that you get to interact with on a daily basis or even online can do a lot too. Ignite or stoke that hope in their heart that life is worth living. And that's just a sliver. Someone else said, so here's, let me write this in the, can we just take a second? I'm gonna go to, oops, wrong one. I'm gonna edit my description. Where's my live video? I'm going to put these resources in the description. Organizations that support sorry, I'm sick to my stomach. Organizations that support LGB. Plus. Oops. That. The Trevor Project. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying. Plus. The. Oh. Then there was Matthew Shepard Foundation. Trans Lifeline. All right. My mom is part of Free Mom Hugs. That's awesome. Yep. Don't offer to solve problems. PF Flag has been around since 1973. Okay. PF LAG. Yep, and we all get to learn and we get to do it. There's a lot of incredible people in the live chat who are always willing to be kind when I'm asking something or redirect to that I can find something myself. So just some things to think about. And I've just updated the description. I'm going to see if anyone is live so we can go raid them. I don't know if Clown Town is live. I don't think they are. I don't think we can raid anyone. I don't see anyone live on my page. Okay. Y'all, thank you for joining me. I'm going to go drink something and get comfy and pet my dog. I hope that y'all do something kind for yourselves, kind for others. Take a deep breath. And I will catch y'all on the next live stream.